Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
I've always written stories about things that are so terrible. You'll run away so your brain won't remember.
So why did you come back?
I'm here for research.
What exactly, though, are you researching?
All right, I've turned to Salem slot.
What are you doing?
I'm clipping it using my Japanese clipper for journaling that I got in Japan.
Great, we're recording.
Looks strangely like a chip clip or a hair clip, but it's.
I was about to start, and then you started talking about, I'm going to turn to Salem's Lot. So I was like, what's... Okay, here we go.
This is all part of the magic.
No, it's not. Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Cheers.
This week, we're going to be discussing the horror new classic, Salem's Lot, starring some actors. I guess Alfre Woodard is in this.
Alfre Woodard is in this.
William Sadler is in this, ever so briefly.
Okay.
And other actors who I'm less familiar with. And all the rest. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's the latest with you?
Dude, so much to discuss. First of all, our now patron Saint Luigi, where everyone on social media is giving him an alibi. Like, oh, my bro Luigi, he couldn't have shot that dude. He was like, help me shovel my yard in Wisconsin, like the whole time. And now on the TikTok shop, it's just he's dressed as a saint with a halo, and you can buy the candle. Thoughts?
I know nothing about it. I'm off social media.
Okay, but do you also not watch news?
No,
Do you
don't
not
watch
know
news.
who I'm?
I vaguely know at the Christmas party, people were talking briefly about it. But I know nothing. I guess his name's Luigi Mangione, right? That's his name. I think I heard tell.
Mangione.
Like Chuck. That's the only reason why I remember. Other than that, I know nothing about it. And this is neither the time nor the place, Aaron.
And so he shot the healthcare guy.
Right.
And he's
the
attractive.
CEO.
But everybody's been around by the insurance company. So because of that, people are like, meh.
Which is, my children are kind of sharing that opinion. I'm kind of like, it's still murder.
And they've never been denied or had.
I don't know what their issue is.
Your co-share is $800. They are too young to have been screwed by the insurance company.
I know. I don't know what their opinion is. It's anarchy. It's anarchy in the streets.
I think all insurance companies then should be not for profit. It's the profit part that's f***ing us all over.
That's America. Every issue that we have, it's because it's the moment it becomes for profit, then other things matter less. Right.
Kaiser Permanente, not for profit.
Yeah. Is that true?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Absolutely.
Why doesn't everybody use them?
It was not an option. I have to use a Blue Cross, so you get what you get, and then you throw a fit.
In other news,
Well, apparently you don't know any news. For all you don't even realize. How about there was a tornado in the frickin' Bay Area?
No, no,
You
nothing
heard
about that.
what the? An actual tornado landed in Scotts Valley. Cars are flipped. Buildings are destroyed. Also touched down in San Francisco. This is not normal people outside of California. This is not.
Yeah,
We
we
do
don't
not
get
have.
tornadoes in California.
No, we do not. And I'm sorry, my brother is fing Amish now, and apparently doesn't follow anything that's not in the Bible. We don't watch the news, and we refrain from technology. And now you're what, a Luddite? You're gonna
I'm a
burn coal.
Luddite.
You got a victory garden.
It's true. 100%. It's a happier life. It's a happier
You
life.
got rid
I
of
just,
you got rid of your cell phones. You got a house phone back, where it's just cell
I,
phones are solicitors calling from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night.
that's the thing. The cold hard reality is we had landlines for years, and we realized if the phone rang at home, it was just a solicitor. Our friends
Yep.
called us on the cell phones. No, no, no person that we wanted to speak to ever called us on the cell phones or on
I
the
stayed
landlines.
last time I stayed at mom's house, the phone started ringing 6 a.m. I said, "Oh, it's got to be family." I walk over and Vicky's like, "Don't answer the phone." I mean, isn't that against the law? They're allowed to start calling it 6 in the frickin' morning.
It's six
Good
o'clock somewhere.
God, good God.
Can I
So
tell you, I watched Goodwill Hunting for the first time in about 30 years.
I
And I
feel
have to
like that's not
say,
something I'm interested in.
overrated. Overrated. I mean, honestly, I saw it in the theater at the time. And when he said, "Hey, you like them apples?" people applauded. And I thought, well, that sucks. So my opinion of it has probably gone down because it's like straight up melodrama. It is where it's just like he had, he had a tough childhood. I get it, but it's like the fact that he just kind of he speaks about all his trauma constantly. People don't do that, and then he snaps out of it because Robin Williams goes, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault." Oh shit! Now I'm cured. Thank goodness. Good stuff. Moving on.
What
Anyway.
was the other inspirational Robin Williams with the Carpe Diem? Seize the day!
Oh,
My captain!
there are many. There are many. There's Dead Poet Society. The the
Dead
the,
Poet Society.
the crappiest version was Patch Adams, which everyone hated, where he's he's a doctor and a clown or something. Which
Oh, yeah.
honestly, if
This is some
I
Vietnam
want to go see
bullshit.
a surgeon, if I'm seeing a surgeon and he's also a clown, I'm not that confident of his abilities, right? I'm going to
I
ask
mean,
for a
they're
different
clowning
surgeon.
around in the operating theater.
Take this shit seriously, Patch Adams. Anyway,
No, I
that's not
I feel
even.
all these message movies from way back when are sure to disappoint. First of all, I never liked Ghost. I never watched what's the motherfucking the people who can't dance movie,
Oh, Footloose.
but never saw it.
They
Don't give a
they
shit.
can dance. It's just that's against the rules, basically.
I
There's
thought
a,
it was about people who were religious and were just poor dancers.
yeah, well, that's true also, but it's basically yes. John Lithgow, his son, was out drinking and died in a car accident. So because
Ain't that the way?
he's the religious leader of this community, they ban dancing in addition to all sorts of other things. But the kid from New York, Kevin Bacon, moves to town,
I'm
and
sorry.
now
Was
everybody's
this a
dancing.
cult? Was this Village of the Damned? What is this?
It was the damned village. Um,
I'm not going to that damn village. But isn't that the stereotype? It's the ministers' kids that are the
yes,
ones. It is the kids at the all girls private Catholic school that are the biggest whores in town.
100%.
The
They've been
more you
plucked
want to
more
crack down,
times.
yeah, the more they want to spread eagle. Whee!
They've been plucked more times than the Rose of Tralee.
I
Um,
love that movie.
well, and I
Okay,
and I love the end of Footloose because then John Lithgow kind of comes around and says, "Okay, it's okay if you dance," And at the school dance, now it's like an episode of Solid Gold, where everyone is just like doing like high kicks and Russians and backflips and handsprings. I'm like, what are we doing? What?
This is so ridiculous. So I've
Right.
never danced before, and that's where I go.
Correct. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Mm.
Anyway, give us
I
your
also don't like what is it? I've had the time of my life. What was that movie?
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty
They
Dancing.
see you don't have any feeling inside of you is what it really is.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
I watched Edward Scissorhands, and I always cry at the end.
So there weren't enough scissor hands in Dirty Dancing, is what you're saying. Is that my?
Morality tales that I don't know.
They're not. Look, you don't put baby in the corner. Is all I'm saying.
Well, sometimes
Anywho,
baby's a bitch, and she needs a timeout.
that is true. That's true. Well, she is. I watched a whole thing on Dirty Dancing on Netflix. They had the movies that made us.
You're
where
a
they
big
do like
Swayze fan.
Well, and at one point it was going to be Billy Zane and Sarah Jessica Parker. How you like that?
Billy Zane
That'd have
got
been
some shit coming out.
that'd have been something.
Lies.
Anyway, give us your 30-second synopsis of Salem's Lot.
Okay, so the backstory is
Please.
we already recorded this with our brother.
Yes.
But the whole thing crapped out. So we are re-recording it now without our brother, who was trying to record off his phone, so it just kept kicking him out every 5 minutes.
Right.
Which means we had to watch the stinker again. And by watch it, I put it on, and within 3 seconds lost total interest and went immediately to TikTok, because I got to get all my TikTok in before they ban it. And before I knew it was over again, and I was not compelled to watch it again. So, vampires come to a remote village, not unlike Northern Exposure.
100%. It's exactly like Northern Exposure.
You got the wacky people who live. Oh, maybe I'll put my phone on silent. Oh, that's my cousin. And bad things happen. The writer comes to town to revisit his trauma. Maybe someone put him in the corner. I don't know. Starts hooking up with the local floozy, who's also been plucked too many times, like the Rose of Trolley. And people start menacing the writer, as one does in a small town. Vampires, vampires, vampires. Everyone dies. Except for, a couple guys. Driving. Boo. The end. It's a stinker.
Riveting.
Don't watch it.
Riveting.
Don't watch it. Read the book. The book is a freaking masterpiece. And even though I hated the Toby Hooper one, now I love it in comparison. Now it is a masterpiece. These are the two choices, Toby Hooper, everything is better. Everything is better. Not unlike Dune. Everything was better in the David Lynch.
You're out of your goddamn mind. What are you saying? You lost me. I'm not a huge defender of Denis Villeneuve's Dune, but the David Lynch Dune is a goddamn train wreck. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. As you said, yes, we were trying to record an episode. Our brother Pat is hilarious, so we thought he would be great.
But not this time.
Oh, shit. Aaron's always dropping bombs on friends, family, neighbors. Anywho, yeah, he tried to record the episode on his phone, and it was a catastrophe. So we had to redo the whole thing. Let me run through the history of Salem's Lot, if I may.
Oh, please do.
Salem's Lot was a novel, came out in the late 70s. It was Stephen King's second published novel. And in my opinion, maybe his finest work ever. Maybe. Possibly. Couple years later, they made a made-for-TV miniseries directed by Toby Hooper that was wildly successful. Wildly successful. Then, late 80s, our friend patron Larry Cohen created Return to Salem's Lot, starring Michael
Who doesn't
Moriarty.
like it? Which I have not seen. Oh no, I
I-
did. What am I saying?
Did you
Didn't
see
I?
it? No, we haven't done it on this show. If that's what you're thinking.
No.
Um,
Larry Cohen and Michael Moriarty, they're the Sonny and Cher.
100%. But it's from what I've read, I've never seen it. It was like a brief theatrical release and then straight to video, and it is widely derided as being crapola.
And
Then,
it's so disappointing because I thought it was in one of his short story, Stephen King short story collection. There is kind of a thing about returning to Salem Lot. Like some city people, their car break down, they're not dressed
correct.
for winter, things happen. So I assumed that's what that was. But now,
Stephen King
me-
wrote a couple short stories in his collections where it's kind of like more to the story, something like that. But they're short stories. They're not full feature length things. Although that's never stopped him
that
before.
didn't stop. Children of the Corn, Lawnmower
Correct.
Man, The Mangler, all these other bullshit movies.
Sometimes they come back. Yeah, the list goes on and on.
Sometimes they come back. Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes the audience doesn't come back. That's for sure. So then around the early 2000s, they did another made-for-TV miniseries, a remake, and I think this one was meant to be more authentic, like basically what the book was like. Because there's some differences between the book and the original miniseries, as we're going to talk about.
The book is terrifying.
Correct.
The book is terrifying. Well, there's big differences between the book, The Shining, and the Kubrick, The Shining, too.
Absolutely. So the original TV miniseries had like David Soul from Starsky and Hutch and James Mason and
so
Bonnie
pretty.
Bedelia. It's Fred Willard. It's actually kind of an all-star cast. So as you said, we saw this once like a month and a half ago. And because the recording was a nightmare, we had to rewatch this thing. And it was not a joyous experience.
I couldn't do it. I made it to the part where the author gets to town, and I was literally on TikTok until the end of the movie.
Are you freaking kidding me? You're not even going to remember what this movie's about, Aaron.
I remember enough.
Oh, shit, no, you don't? I guess...
Test me!
I guess we're going to find out the hard way.
The plot is not so complicated that it's going to confuse me.
No, but
is there a Straker and a Barlow? Is there a drive-in theater for no apparent reason? Yes, there is.
Yes, there is. Well, why don't we jump right into the highlights, Aaron? Take us away. What do you got?
Take us away. I'm going to the number one highlight that makes no goddamn motherfucking sense. You know where all the vampires are hiding? At the goddamn drive-in in the trunks of their own cars. These are all old 70s cars. Those are the kind where the kidnapper would put you in and you're staying in. So
correct.
One, who's closing that? And how are the vampires getting out? And why aren't they just cooking in the hot car like a baby with a neglectful father?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. You're jumping right to the thrilling conclusion of the movie, which I appreciate.
And by thrilling, that's a stretch. Conclusion, yeah, that's reality.
Well, because this scene does not occur in the book or any other adaptation.
And thank you, Jesus. And thank you, Jesus,
because it makes
that.
no goddamn sense. It's the worst.
100%.
You're 100%. What we'd have to assume is the vampires drove their cars to the drive-in at dawn or just before dawn, took the keys out of the ignition, because this is the 70s, as you said, took those same keys, unlocked their trunk, climbed in with the keys, I guess, or just left the keys outside. I don't remember. There was a bunch of keys on the floor. And then they could reach up and close the door to their trunk. To their GMC Pacer, it locks. There's no there's no lever on the inside.
How many Pacers were out there? Were there any Gremlins too?
There was. There's a couple Pintos, and now you're
First
right.
Of all,
you're trapped.
These are local vampires.
Correct.
I mean, sometimes they can, vampires always have that ability to snap out of it for a moment when they're trying to trick you.
Yes.
Now, if I was a vampire and my options were hanging out at my house or sleeping in the trunk of my mother effing car, stay at home.
Right. Well,
Why
this
does
is
my lord and master want me to go sleep in the back of my Chevy Nova?
correct. This is Maine. So they have basements, right?
Yes.
They don't. No, it makes no GD sense at all. That part was a total freak show. Um, let me rewind it a bit, if I may, Aaron.
You may.
Basically, what the plot of all of these incarnations is: Ben Mears is an author who spent some time in his childhood in Salem's Lot when it was just kind of a small town, and then moved away, became a quasi successful novelist, and has come back because there was kind of a like an old haunted house, like a
The
jacked up house,
Marston house.
the Marston house up on the hill that
Which
affected him greatly.
because it looks like the crazy psycho house because it has like that mansard roof.
100%. So he's come back to write about this house, right? He had an experience when he was a kid, it affected him, blah blah blah. Also arriving to town that same weekend, evidently, is these two European characters, if you will, who've come to open up an antique shop. And it's Barlow and Straker Rare Antiques to this little small ass town.
It looks
We-
like fucking Needful Things, right?
It's Castle Rock, right? It's all of the,
Right.
it's Derry, it's every other Stephen King mythological town in Maine, essentially. And you only see Mr. Straker because Mr. Barlow is quote unquote out on a buying trip in Europe or some shit, basically. Okay, so they're new to town as well. Okay, and the shit goes down because a little boy goes missing, basically, right? Now,
Mhm.
I have to say, we have to forgive some of the sins of the movie.
Do we? Why?
In the sense that, look, it's like a 350 page, 400 page book. Okay, so there's a lot of subplots, there's a lot of character development. Frankly, you got more character development from the TV miniseries because it's two,
All
it's
right.
2 episodes, right?
Let's
2
back the
hours.
truck up. Back the
Please.
truck up
Go
because
ahead.
what we got is a bunch of nonsense that
Correct.
was not in the book. So you cut that out and we can go back to the book and maybe it would make sense. Like we don't give ourselves rabies injections because a vampire bit us.
Do not slide right by that scene. That was the most bizarre, crazy
What
scene.
the I
Yes.
missed that when I read the Bram Stoker's version of Dracula. It's a kind of rabies. That's all you need to do.
Correct. Later in the movie, when there's starting to be vampires like roaming around, I think it was Dr. Cody,
Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil,
Yeah.
played by Alfred Woodard, doing a crazy, I guess it was supposed to be a Maine accent. It is the craziest accent. I don't know if it was
And
from
I
New
love
Zealand.
Alfred Woodard.
I love her.
her.
She's great.
Love
her
her.
accent work need a little work though, if I'm being
Not so
honest.
much. She's no Rita Moreno.
She's no Meryl Streep. Rita Moreno. Anyway, so there's a scene which is the same scene from the book and from the original miniseries, where it's like, we've got a dead woman here. We think she might be a vampire, so we're gonna go there with no like kind of anti-vampire accoutrement, right? Literally, there's a scene in this where they're like, oh shit, what do we do if she is a vampire? And they just kind of look at each other and kind of shrug. Well, I don't know. Oh,
First of all, you're just allowed to go hang out in the morgue because you got to hunt. It reminds me of like an Argento film where the police don't solve the crimes. It's just random Joes.
100%. Well, now Dr. Cody is a doctor. So there's some...
Okay. Not
some
a police officer.
Not
So you
the
have a
police.
doctor, You have a writer.
Yes.
You got
Middle
the
school
girl the
teacher.
writer's banging, and like a middle school teacher.
Correct.
Who are solving the crime.
Correct. That's you know, it's like the mystery machine. It's Scooby and the gang are getting to the bottom
Scooby and
of
the
this.
gang looking for some Scooby snacks.
They are. So they're sitting there, and I will say, Alfre Woodard in this movie is kind of a breath of fresh air because she has her line delivery is kind of fun when she does
She's
shit.
funny.
When the vampire woman starts
I will
waking
give
up,
it to you. She is the star. She's
she
the
is,
gem here.
but it's like she doesn't really even appear until probably half an hour into the movie. Really. Because she's not the main character is Ben Mears, and the actor who does this, I've seen him in a few things, but he's kind of a cold fish. He's kind of a blah, right?
He's bringing nothing. He
bringing
ain't
nothing.
no David Soul.
He is goddamn no David Soul. No question. Not enough soul. You know what I'm saying?
Not enough soul, my bro.
So she's there going, oh shit! When the vampire moves, she literally says, "Oh shit!"
I'd be like, out!
I'm out.
Mother, you go wrestle the old crazy Glick lady. No.
They are like hastily coming up with some crosses by frickin' taping tongue depressors together, and they're like, "Well, this isn't working. Maybe we should say some prayers or some shit."
No,
Bless
don't
this
do that.
cross. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, in the tussle, Alfre Woodard is attacked by the vampire woman and gets bit. Now
Danny Glick's mother. You're jumping right over that.
Marjorie Glick.
Yes.
Glick.
The greatest last name in literature.
Jiminy Glick. I love that one.
If only Jiminy Glick. He was the uncle who came to stay.
Absolutely. So they ward off the vampire woman. She, I don't know, turns to dust or whatever the hell happens because they touch her with the tongue depressor cross. And Alfre Woodard's like, give me my medical bag. And it's kind of like, what you gonna do? What's you gonna do? You got bit by a vampire. She takes some alcohol, just kind of pours it on herself and says, give me the rabies shot.
Because I carry around rabies shots.
So she gets the goddamn rabies shot. And like the woman has the friend, the receptionist, whatever she is, inject her with the rabies shot. And I remember thinking, that's not going to work. And yet, it worked. She was cured.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle cure. If you get bit by a vampire, pour a little Bactine on it and give yourself a rabies shot, and you're good to go. Easy peasy.
Then why aren't they rushing to the hospital and start knocking out all these people who have this pernicious anemia?
Pernicious anemia. Well, I think what it is, if we're to believe this bullshit, you have to do it while they're still kind of alive. You can't go to the morgue.
Not the dead people,
right?
But if you're still alive, the people are going to the hospital.
Right. Well, I think now it's too late. At this point,
everybody's vamped up.
Well, frickin' Matt Burke, the middle school teacher, was killed unceremoniously, and that's the other thing about this movie. It's like I think the same people die who died in the miniseries and in the book, but they die in a different order and in a different way. Right? It's like
that's right. They're like, Stephen King's pretty good, but I think we could do it one better.
Well, I'm kind of sympathetic. I wonder if on one level they're kind of like, we just can't do the same thing again. So now we got to mix it up. It's like when they do these superhero movies where they change, like, well, here's a lesser known hero, but we're going to try to fake out the fans of that person by actually they don't become that character. It's a different person entirely who becomes the character to add some suspense or drama. I don't know. It makes no sense. It was
me no like.
Well, and that's the thing. So it's like we haven't even talked about little what's his name? Lance Kerwin, but not Lance Kerwin. What's the character's name?
I don't know. But he makes no sense. I mean, God bless him. I'm sure he's a brilliant young actor. But the way they did this character is terrible. You know they're trying to do a Stranger Things vibe going on here, but instead it was just irritating. This is
Right.
not how kids behave.
So this is
I mean, God forbid, Lance Kerman was way too old to be hanging out with the Glick kids. I think he was 23, it looked like, hanging out with a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Correct. In the original miniseries. And in this one, I
Yeah.
guess he's the new kid in town, is
Right.
what we're supposed to think. And I don't know, because they recast it with an African-American boy, which is fine. I mean, they have
Who
Alfred
cares?
Woodard in a gender-swapped, racial-swapped role from the
Who
original
cares?
miniseries. It's fine. I mean, granted, it's Maine, it's not Iceland. There are going to be some black people
There's
running
two.
around. Right.
Two people moved there finally.
Finally. So the thing about this kid, so this is literally, there's two characters who last and basically become kind of like our viewpoint characters. It is the David Soul, Ben Mears, and it's the boy whose name has jumped out of my brain, and I can't believe I'm not remembering it.
That's fine.
They figure out that there's vampires doing vampire shit. So this kid, there's a scene where what was it? One of the Glick boys is now a vampire, kind of clawing at his window, trying to hypnotize
Danny, I
him.
think.
Was it Danny? What's the other? There's Danny Glick, and there was the other Glick.
Jiminy.
It was young Jiminy. I don't remember, but that was, I remember from the 70s version, was a terrifying moment where it's like the smoke is moving like backwards and he's kind of floating. Let me in.
Which is why you need good curtains in your bedroom.
100%.
Very important.
Close
Very
those damn
important.
Well, because that's the thing. Vampire lore says that the vampire will not just come in. You have to invite him in.
So but this way, in this one, they're putting you in a trance and trick you into inviting them in.
Well, and they did do that in the original miniseries. They didn't. Right. Now in this one, it'd be like they kind of look at you and your eyes would kind of turn purpley to kind of show that you've been hypnotized. So they did do some shit with that with this one. The problem is this young actor who, how old do you think he was? 10, maybe 12? I don't know. Youngish, just never really conveyed, oh shit, I'm afraid. This is some shit. You never got that vibe.
He's going up to the vampire house on his own to handle business.
Made no sense.
And the adults are like, whoa. I'm like, dude, you're too stupid. You're just going to get killed. You're not rolling up there on your own. Come on.
It was too much of him being very casual. Like, look, later in the movie, his parents are killed.
And too adult. He's a kid acting like an adult.
Correct.
Like he's some superhero.
Which we hate.
I found that irritating. We hate that.
Well, and generally speaking, I hate kid protagonists in, what are supposed to be adult movies. If this is frickin' My Girl or some shit from the 90s where it's like, Home Alone, fine. Be a kid protagonist. But when it's meant to be kind of like this is adult fare, I don't need a kid protagonist.
100% they threw that kid in there to get that age audience. I'm telling you, it's a Stranger Things.
Well, but I mean, the character existed in the book, and the character existed in the miniseries, so it's not some new creation.
Lance Kerwin was being knocked around left and right by David Soul. He was not put together. He was spasmodium left and right.
He was spasmodium. I think we can all agree on that one. But no, so this kid never seemed that concerned, because you're right. There's a scene where he's like, again, later in the movie, his parents are killed, so he's like, now I want my revenge or whatever. This is well before.
He literally has no emotion. He really is not emoting anything. It's like, everybody's dead. I'm just going to go handle it. And then we go back and build a model.
Right. His Tycho model, as we've talked about before. But he goes to the terrifying Marston house, which would be terrifying with no vampires in it. Let's be honest. And he goes into the basement he goes into the basement. Now, granted, I think like the middle school teacher shows up about that time and that's the thing. The middle school teacher is the one who kind of figures out that there's vampires because he brings home the lonely gravedigger from the bar, which sounds worse than it was, if I'm being honest. I mean, that's what kind of bar was this, by the way?
Well, it's a small town. It's hard to meet people.
It's hard to meet people, 100%. So, and then the gravedigger is killed by one of the Glick boys. So it's like now shit's getting serious. People are dropping like flies. Problem with this movie, and we've talked about this before, is the fact that because it's just a 2-hour movie based upon a 400-page book, is you're not getting the character development. So when a character dies, you kind of don't care. You're like, okay, I guess he's dying.
How are we supposed to care when the characters on screen don't seem to really give a instead
right.
of this mommy, no, it's more like
Ooh, I guess my friends are dead, and now my parents are dead. Moving on.
Right. I know no one in this town. Whatever.
Right, because that's the thing. When they go to wherever to visit the morgue to find out about the woman's now a vampire. Now, like everybody, like half the town is turned into vampires now. Where literally the middle school teacher is a vampire, where I think in the book, he's a much older guy who dies of a heart attack. Basically, he's like, this shit is serious. Oh, there goes my heart. And that's how he dies. And I think he dies later in the movie or later in the book.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering
that sounds right. That sounds right.
Right? Where in
not in the bowels of the earth with the little kid. We're just going to call him Stranger Things. So it's not going to be, Uncle Freddy, who's clearly out of shape. He's not battling vampires, nor is like the 12-year-old.
Look, I'm a grown man. I'm not going in the haunted house's basement when I know there's vampires running around. Not doing it.
And especially when the main vampire looks like frickin' Nosferatu. He doesn't look like Gary Oldman or Frank Langella. He looks like crazy, jacked up Nosferatu.
And we haven't talked about that because in the book, it was, and Stephen King talked about this, the book was meant to be, what if Dracula was around in modern day, or as we modern of the 70s when he wrote it. Right. Essentially, that's what he's going.
What if Dracula? Well, we already have that. That was called Love at First Bite. George Hamilton. He was at the disco clubs. He was Studio 54.
There was a period.
Maybe that's what the inspiration.
There was a period in the late 70s, early 80s where George Hamilton was frickin' everywhere. He was.
Dude.
He was.
I ran into him at the mall in downtown Palm Springs and took his picture. Of course you did. He was even more attractive and less orange in person, and he was tall.
He's a handsome devil, but he was in Love at First Bite, and he was
which I loved. I was obsessed with that.
He was in the less heralded Zorro the Gay Blade as well,
I did see
where he played dual roles as Zorro and Zorro's gay brother, who just came into town and used a whip because he's gay, and that's what gay guys do.
Gay guys like whips. See, this is clearly a 70s.
Yes.
George Hamilton definitely had some moments.
He had a few moments there. Anywho, so in the book, he was the Barlow character was a Dracula type, right? He had hair, he had a mustache, he like spoke, right? He had shit going on. When they did the miniseries, they decided it would be scarier, rather than having a Dracula type, to have, like you said, a Nosferatu type, hairless, kind of inhuman creature with long old claws and the crazy little two teeth.
The long, yeah.
It was not just a Nosferatu type. It was wholly lifted from Nosferatu. I mean,
100%.
They actually did. Klaus Kinski was in a Nosferatu movie about this time, where it was a remake of the original silent film,
which I think I hated, by the way. My friend
It's
Jenny
fine.
thought it was a masterpiece.
It's fine. Because you got to remember, Nosferatu, the 1920s German expressionist, F.W.
Oh, see,
Murnau. Uh,
dude, but the German expressionism, I mean, the sets and everything is fucking amazing.
well, they were on the frontier of movie
Oh
making
yeah,
in those
yeah,
20s. It was
yeah.
Germany and it was the United States back in the 1920s as kind of being the trendsetters. What was going on?
Right.
They wanted to make a Dracula movie in the 1920s, and the estate of Bram Stoker, which was still around, said no thanks, pass.
Pass.
F.W. Murnau, the director, basically said, cool, we'll just make our own. And now it's Count Orlok, and everything else is exactly the same.
Come and
What's
get
she
us,
gonna do?
motherfuckers. Come and
What's she
get
gonna
us.
do? We're in Germany. We're doing our thing. And that was Nosferatu. That was Nosferatu, which, if you haven't seen it, it's still kind of watchable for being a silent film from over
I'm sure
100 years
watch it.
ago.
There are some amazing silent films, Mr. How
Okay.
dare you?
Okay.
How dare you?
How dare me indeed. So that's the filmmakers for the remake, or excuse me, of the original made-for-TV movie. That's what they went for, and he's kind of bluish. I mean,
Yeah.
he is an inhuman monster.
He's not getting oxygen.
Right.
Oxygen levels are low.
100%. So when you've got that, then you team him up with James Mason, who we love, doing
But
his.
who's also pretty creepy.
He was pretty creepy, but can speak. Right?
But can speak. He has that great accent. He's got the little crazy mustache. And ever since I saw him in Lolita, I get the ick. So it's perfect.
James Mason is great. He was Captain Nemo in the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie.
Oh my God. I loved him in that. He was so good in that. I love
great.
that.
He was in North by Northwest with Cary Grant playing the villain, as you might imagine. That's my James Mason voice. It's very nasally and pinched. That's how you do James
It's like
Mason.
he talks with clenched teeth, but a British accent on top
100%.
of
I I went onto YouTube to try to learn how to do a Michael Caine accent, and they're like,
Jesus.
and it was like a step by step. Here's how you do it. Number one, he's got a British accent.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, should I be taking notes? Thank you, Rich Little. I think I tuned out at that point. I was like, okay, moving on. I went on TikTok.
Going nowhere.
I was like, thanks for that. Anyway,
Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing. So when they remade it in the early 2000s, they went back to the source material. So now your main vampire, Kurt Barlow, is Rutger Hauer with hair and a mustache, and he speaks. He's got an accent.
I gotta watch it. You keep talking. You know, I love Rutger Hauer.
Of course,
I would have married him and had children with him. I loved him so much in Blade Runner. He was like a Nordic god.
He's great. But this movie, they're like, we're not doing that. Evidently we've decided we're remaking the miniseries. So they went back to the Nosferatu type. But I have to say, not as good.
No.
Not as good at all.
The sets are not as good.
Right.
The creature is not as good.
No.
I mean, I like the dude who played Straker, but really, I couldn't give a shit about anybody else in this film. And I only like him because he was in Game of Thrones.
Because he was Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones. But
you know that's messed up.
Absolutely. In the original miniseries, the Straker character is there basically till the end. Okay, he's doing shit. In the remake, he's dead early, and the little boy kills him with a fireplace poker. I'm like, whoa!
That little kid, Stranger Things is not going to kill Euron Greyjoy. No,
can't do it.
He's going to eat him like a snack and pick a teeth with his bones.
Well,
no.
They had the Straker character dressed like he was Superfly or something. He had like a velvet hat and some kind of he was like walking like do do do. What was that episode on
Maybe that's just how they dress it. I think he's Danish. But is that the fashion in Denmark right
That's
now?
how they did it. He was dressed like Kramer when
More
Kramer
velvet.
when he put on Joseph's Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat, and people thought he was a pimp. That's basically
The
what he was
walking
doing.
stick, and then
And
he
the
had the
hat.
fur-lined hat.
Oh, that's
cruising
brilliant.
the street.
That was brilliant.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So I felt like the deaths as they occurred were less satisfying. When the school teacher becomes the vampire, and then he's just killed, they stake him. It was just like, who gives a shit?
When you don't care about the characters, it doesn't really scare you when they die. You know what I mean? It's
Correct.
just kind of like, nah.
Right.
What else you got?
And then, like you said, the thrilling conclusion where it was like, now they're at the drive-in, which made no
Stranded
goddamn
at the
sense.
drive-in, branded a fool. What will they say? Monday at school. God, it was ridiculous. Why are they in a drive-in?
It makes no goddamn sense. So that all goes down, and then I can't even talk about it. There was another plot twist. Well, what's her name? Susan, was that her name? Susan
It
is
doesn't matter.
She's turned into a vampire, and her mom becomes the new Striker, which
is
right. The whole thing made no goddamn sense.
That's right. We didn't need a new Striker. They could have kept Euron Greyjoy and had him do more creepy shit. He could have it could have been like where he starts dating one of the moms or something, you know what I mean? Or maybe he's asking out the writers. They could have done something else.
They could have done many things. Do you have any other thoughts and feelings?
These are my thoughts and feelings.
Lay it on me.
Read the book, and if you're illiterate, then watch the miniseries.
Do Audible. You don't even read books, Aaron. You just listen to them on tape.
I read 800 pages of that Game of Thrones history. I read it. I read it every day at lunch for an hour. And you
read it or you listened to it? Let's be truthful.
No, I bought the book and I read it because
okay,
it was a book I wanted to read. Unlike the bullshit you and the rest of the family try to make me read. That's an Audible.
That's an Audible. Fair. Okay, well, why don't we go behind the scenes then?
Please, let's put an end to this. My soul hurts.
Writer Gary Dauberman told Den of Geeks in June 2019 that his goal with the new version of Salem's Lot is to make vampires frightening again. He wants to get away from the sexier, more romanticized undead like Twilight, things like that. Okay.
Well, you didn't do it, friend. Failed.
You failed. William Sadler, who plays the sheriff, who's in like 3 scenes. Evidently, this is the 4th Stephen King adaptation he's been in. He was in. Can you name any of them? Let's start with that. Now, one of them Salem's Lot. So, what are the other 3?
So, which actor am I thinking about?
William Sadler, who played the sheriff in this movie.
Oh, no, I can't think of any of them. But I know him.
He was in Shawshank in 94.
I guess I saw that.
He was in Green Mile in 99.
Never saw it.
And he was in The Mist in 2007.
Oh, Lord. The Mist.
Boom.
The Mist, the fog, the light rain, the muggy summer afternoon.
Correct. Let's see. Amongst a survey of its users, Fandango ranked this adaptation as the #1 most anticipated horror movie of 2023.
Yes, everybody was anticipating it. And then they saw it.
Wah, 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 wah. Let's see. In March 2024, Variety reported that this film will now release exclusively on Max on an unspecified date later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we
People
don't
are
really
like,
know.
You can't release this shit. we'll lose a fortune.
Pretty much. Well, they've started
Sell
doing. I
it to
think Warner
HBO,
Brothers.
and we'll cut our losses.
Warner Brothers, if I'm remembering this correctly, has in the last couple of years has made movies. Then they looked at it and said, "You know what? We're just going to shutter this and never show it to anybody because we can make more money just taking the loss on the insurance."
Yeah,
So that would have been one of this movie, in my opinion.
that was an option here.
Yeah, they should have.
Mhm.
Let's see. So James Wan was the producer and director of horror and action films like The Conjuring, Aquaman, and many others, and was set
He
to
was
produce this one.
Oh, he was set to produce
So
it.
I think he probably wound up doing it because it's like if you look at the poster for this movie, it says from the creator of the Conjuring universe and a producer of it. I like that, and a producer of it. Which I'm on the record saying
So
I
he
thought
did
part
produce
one.
it? I thought he
Yes.
was going. Oh, well then, dude, you should have
Let me
shelved this.
let
Now,
me look what it
you're
says.
tainted, tainted
Tainted
blood.
love. Well, Gary Dauberman wrote it and directed it. Let me see who produced this.
Is it an executive producer or a real producer?
James Wan was one of the producers who did the Conjuring stuff. Yeah, another Stephen King is an
No,
executive
but
producer, so that doesn't
what
really
did?
matter.
No, that doesn't matter. But he was the producer for this.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well then, dude, you shit your pants. I'm sad for
You
you.
shit your pants. Let's talk about Gary Dauberman, like I said, directed and wrote it based upon the novel by Stephen King. You know him because he wrote Annabelle Comes Home. He
Oh,
wrote
come on.
It in 2017. He wrote Salem's Lot in 2024 and The Nun 2018.
A bunch of shit. This is about that
Well,
quality, yeah.
this basically it is a lot of Conjuring crossover, but it's kind of a crappier. It doesn't compare with the Conjuring in my mind. You know what I
No,
mean?
The Conjuring was great. The Nun and Annabelle, whatever. That's for
Whatevs.
high school boys. Uh, this is just not. It's boring. It's not that interesting. It's the crap. Maybe the crappiest version.
Let's talk about the cast. Lewis Pullman played Ben Mears. I've seen him in quite a bit lately.
Whatever.
He
He was
he
kind
was
of
in
whatever.
14 episodes of Outer Range in 22 to
Unfamiliar.
24. He was Bob in 2022's Top Gun Maverick.
No, never
He
saw
was
that.
he was in Bad Times at the El Royale in 2018,
I think I saw
and
that actually.
he was in 8 episodes of Lessons in Chemistry, which is a book that we really enjoyed.
Love the book. Still haven't watched it because I know I will hate it.
Well, it's different. You know what I mean? It's like
See it now. I already hate it. Already hate it.
right.
I was right.
They basically they made the husband in Lessons in Chemistry more of a role. Like he's still hanging around having his own subplots.
Because we can't have a show just about a
Right.
smart, interesting woman.
Right. 100%. Mackenzie Lee played Susan Norton, the love interest that we barely talked about. You know her from 2024 Salem's Lot. In 2016, she was in Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, which I'm wildly unfamiliar with.
Unfamiliar.
She was in The Slap, 8 episodes. Do you remember The Slap?
No.
It was a TV show where the central premise is somebody slapped somebody else's kid because they were acting up, and it's just the drama.
Oh.
I don't know how you parlay that into an entire series, but that's what they tried to do. And she was in 7 episodes of Gotham, which I actually enjoyed way back in
Never
the day.
saw it.
Let's see. Alfre Woodard played Dr. Cody. You know her from such things as Star Trek First Contact in '96, which we've talked about on this show.
100%.
12 Years a Slave in 2013.
Didn't see it.
She was in Annabelle in 2014.
I did see Annabelle finally.
And K-Pax in 2001. Do you remember that one with Kevin
I wasn't
Spacey?
seeing that. Yeah, I wasn't seeing that shit.
What else? Do you want to know about? It's a bunch of other people. Do you want to know about anybody
Is
else?
there anyone who's done anything? I feel like these are all people who just made enough to maybe pay the rent for 2 months and then they moved on.
William Sadler played Parkins Gillespie, the sheriff in this movie.
That's not a real name. It sounds like he has Parkinson's.
Maybe he does. He was in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey in 91.
I did not see that.
Shawshank in 94. The Mist in 2007. Die Hard 2 in 1990.
I barely remember Die Hard 1.
What are you even saying? I loved him in Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. He was the protagonist.
I did see that.
That was great. We talked about it on the show. And a bunch of other actors.
And all the
And
rest.
all the rest. Let's talk about the rating, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
Salem's Lot currently has 46% on Rotten Tomatoes.
As it should.
Do you know what the audience gave it?
36?
38.
Ooh, I'm in touch with the audience, people.
Correct.
Everyone in general was disappointed. we had high expectations, and we're sorely disappointed.
Let's look at the top critics. We have Nick Shager from the Daily Beast. He says, a reasonably faithful and effective thriller, light on legitimate frights, but polished and unnerving.
Okay, bullshit. Are you getting paid? You're getting paid for good reviews.
Are you on the tape?
Yeah. This is payola.
It's 100% payola. Megan Navarro from Bloody Disgusting says, it's an adaptation that feels heavily tampered with, gutting all story and character development in favor of empty vampire scares.
Okay, there were no scares, so just empty of everything. How about that?
It did have Gordon Lightfoot, so that gets you something.
There are two good things. There's
what's his name?
What's his name? I'm having a mini straight. There's Gordon Lightfoot.
Gord's gold.
And Ron Greyjoy.
That was all you need. What is your rating for this movie, Aaron?
I am just giving it one piece of crap that I'm flushing it down the toilet. Don't need to see it.
You gave it 1 out of 5? Yeah. It sounds like you are saying it's the worst.
It's not. I mean, it.
Take a minute.
It's pretty shitty. It's not the worst movie in the whole world, but there's so many better versions of it that it doesn't need to exist. How about that?
Okay. Fair. I did not think it was a total...
Oh, God. I swear to you, I'm going to come through the screen if you give it a fucking 3, Kevin. I'm coming through the screen.
I give it 5 stars.
It's going to be Videodrome, man. I'm Videodrome in this situation.
No, you thought it was a piece of shit. I just thought it was very forgettable. It's not something that anyone needs to talk about. And yet,
as I said,
and
yet, it sounds like we agree, yet you are arguing with me.
Well, because you said it's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but 1 out of 5. I think that's ridiculous. It's not a 1-5er. It's more kind of pointless than truly offensive. I am saving
the audience from a waste of their time.
I give it 2.5 out of 5.
See, I'm Videodroming you like at 4 a.m.
That's a failing score. It's a failing score.
It's too hot. At 3 a.m., your eyes are going to click open, and I'm going to be crawling through your screen.
You'll be Jiminy Glick coming through my window?
I'll be Jiminy Glick. I'll be some Myron, yes. I'll be Videodroming you, whatever.
There you go. No, I always loved the original Salem's Lot. I own the original Salem's Lot miniseries on streaming. Lord. So I was always a fan. I thought that, like, I was probably 7 or something when that movie came out. And I remember it was terrifying as a 7-year-old watching it, and that not just David Soul's performance either. Let me tell you.
How about the end when they're in Mexico or some deep in South America? And I mean, they look rough. And then the
Yes,
girlfriend shows up. That was really
that was it.
effective. And I have the hiccup. Sorry.
It was good stuff. It was good stuff. This, not so much. It was
No.
the greatest sin that this movie has going
That the
against it.
devil ever told.
It was such a bummer that it was such a disappointment. I was so jazzed to see it, and then I watched it and I was just like, what the f-? So it's not horrible. It's more pointless and forgettable, in my opinion.
Pointless
Do
and
not
boring.
see it.
Pointless.
Agreed. Agreed.
No one's bringing their A game to this shit.
No.
Even you're on Greyjoy.
Not even you're on. So, such is life. And last thoughts before we move on with our lives.
As I said, skip it. Also streaming on Max, because after this was over, I got, you might like the original Salem's Lot. Click on that.
See that
It
one.
is richer film. It's a much richer film. The sets are cooler, the inside of the house. I mean, it's not as good as the book. It's a made for TV, but compared to this piece of shit, it shines like a bright diamond.
Shine bright like a diamond. 100%. 100%. So, thank you very much. Go to our pages across social media. I'm not on X anymore. Erin still is, so send her some DMs.
X gonna give it to you. Erin is still on X, although she's had notifications turned off for 10 years. So I only ever checked it when Kevin said, hey, check X.
I'm still on Blue Sky,
That's
Threads,
not a real thing.
Instagram, TikTok. You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die, at Gmail. We are on YouTube. You could be watching us right now in all of our glory.
I put on lipstick and everything.
That's reason enough to tune in, I would say.
I am wearing my pajamas, but I put a sweater over it.
Nicely done.
The Christmas pin.
You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review, won't you?
Won't you please?
Erin, what is your social media situation?
Oh, dude, I got something fun. I got an email from the Legion of Honor, which is a big art museum in San Francisco, that a picture of me is going to be part of the 100-year anniversary history.
That is really cool.
It's very cool. I'm dressed as what's her name from Vertigo? I can't ever remember her name. Anyway, I'm dressed as the heroine in Vertigo, because it was part of it was filmed at the Legion of Honor. So there's a picture of me dressed up like her.
It's not
walking
Ava Marie
through
Saint. Who is in Vertigo?
No. What's her name? And 5 minutes ago, I could have told you.
It's Jimmy Stewart.
Talking. Yes.
It's not Grace Kelly. It's not Ava Marie Saint. It's not Tippi Hedren.
No.
Oh, shit. It's going to be somebody that I never would have guessed.
No, she's very famous.
Anyway, so
Kim Novak.
Kim Novak.
I'm Kim Novak.
Kim Novak, 100%.
If she shopped at White House Black Market.
So check out that good stuff. Now, as we like to do you have more you'd like to say? Because you're kind of gesturing wildly.
No, I was thinking, because you told me to go find something, and there was something on TikTok, but oh no, now I gotta listen.
Oh, what are you doing?
I have something to read to you from TikTok.
Okay, well, let me set it up. As you know,
we like to share. While I look.
We like to share the thoughts and feelings of our friends across the interweb.
Interweb.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Erin, What did you find? Anything at all?
Yes, in regards to the movie Monkey Shines, Peegers commented, "Wow, I forgot about that movie. Thank you for the flashback." Hopefully it's not like a Vietnam flashback and you got like monkeys trying to feed you and eat your lips. And if you like that, go watch the latest crazy old single women living with their monkeys on Max.
That's the name of the show. Old single women living with their monkeys.
Dude, I swear to you, if you just Google those phrases, it'll pop up.
I will not Google
They
those
watch your
phrases.
fingertips and your sweet, sweet lips.
Next week, we're going to be discussing the new horror classic, The Substance, starring Demi Moore. I was going to say an old
Is it
woman living with a
Demi
monkey.
or is it Demi?
It's Demi. It is Demi. But I
It's
say
half
Demi.
more. It's half more.
100%. Half more. I don't want a full more. A second full portion.
I just want a Demi, like a Demi-tasse.
Like a
I
Demi
just want
cut.
half.
Right, 100%. With Demi Moore and with Margaret Qualley. So you can check that out. It is actually, it's not, I don't think it's in theaters anymore. Well, it might be in theaters depending on the theater.
Did we have to pay?
Yes.
Or was it like a one-time thing on like Max?
No, we paid $5.99
Ooh.
to watch
Ooh.
it just because I'd heard good things about it.
Still cheaper than if I'd gone to the movies
100%.
and bought me some nachos and such.
Correct. I mean, you can watch it on Mubi. Mubi.
We watched it on Mubi. That was it. Which
That's
sounds like
what
Mubi.
it was. Oh, that's right.
It was Mubi. It sounds like it's a Bollywood porn site. That's what
and it is. So it covers all the bases. A Bollywood porn site, 100%. Yes, we took the free 7 days subscription on Amazon Prime to Mubi, and we were able to watch it. That was the secret. Otherwise, I would have had to pay $5.99. So,
yeah. I've just recently had to do that with some other AMC Plus bullshit. Isn't it enough that I have DirecTV and AMC is on that? I gotta pay for AMC Plus, Discovery Plus that up your ass. I'm tired of this. Now and now I'm paying for ads. It's like we've circled back to where we were.
Yes.
Bastards. At least if I'm watching it on TV and I've recorded it, I can fast forward. Now these motherfuckers over at Amazon are throwing ads at things I'm paying for. Ah! Hulu.
Yeah, it's the worst. So anyway, send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions about The Substance, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. So thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, children.